Hi everyone, my name is Junder, I'm from Company. So first of all, thank you very much, Game Insight, for giving us the chance to be here. We're happy to be here to share with you our company and all the industry insights that we see. Okay, so actually before Company, I've been at Company for around 1 year. So before Company, I was at companies like Scoreloop, like Singtel, like Tapjoy, and all these companies, I work for them. I'm based in Asia. So it's actually my first time in Russia. And this morning, instead of taking public transport, I decided to just take a walk. I took a walk from my hotel to here. It took about 40 minutes. I crossed the bridge, across the river. I took a lot of pictures. Thank you. And I think I really enjoy it. I really enjoy taking a walk in the city. It's very beautiful. It's different from traveling in a car. Okay, so today, Today, firstly, I will introduce Company, a little about our company to you. Then we will talk about the global market opportunity. Then we will look at how market data can help your business. So firstly, about Company. So you have different media landscapes. You started with TV. People were concerned about market data. They looked at Nielsen. And then in the web industry, there was Comscore providing this market research for worldwide. And these days, the app stores, it's us, Company, providing this kind of market data. So we're positioned to be kind of like a Nielsen or Comscore of the mobile app stores. And this is about our company. Today we have 4 offices worldwide, in Beijing, Hong Kong, San Francisco, Paris. Why Paris? Because we are a French guy. And so actually we are headquartered in, we are in the process of moving that to London. There's not so much business in Paris. 4 offices, we're actually headquartered in Beijing. Not many people know that, because our product actually started from Beijing. Although we are headquartered in Beijing, we have a very international team. Our CEO is also French. And in Beijing, we have around 40 people. We have people from 14 countries. And our second biggest office is in San Francisco. So, and we also just closed Series B, so we have investors from US, Japanese, and Chinese investors. And these are some of our users worldwide. There are game developers, non-game developers, media and VCs, and also a lot of OEMs and carriers. And because our brand is huge worldwide, that's why you see that 80% of the top 100 iOS publishers by grossing revenue, they use our services. Quickly, and these are our 3 products today. First, analytics. We help publishers analyze their sales and downloads across all countries. So for instance, amongst your apps, which app is getting more free downloads in which country is getting you more paid downloads, which country is buying more of the 99-cent in-app purchase, which country is buying more of the $99 in-app purchase, and so on. And all this is done without an SDK. The second product, Store Stats. This helps you look at all the apps on the App Store. In every country, you can track every app and the historical ranking. So from the 500 ranking and how they went to #1 ranking, you can see all this. And these 2 products are free. And our business model is where we sell market intelligence. So based on all the data that we have, we are able to make estimates for all apps in all countries. So what do I mean by estimates? So basically we can make, for every app, we can estimate the free downloads, paid downloads, in-app purchase, and non-in-app purchase in every country. And how can this be used? Firstly, you can use it to monitor your competitors. You can use it to look at which countries, which categories are growing, so that you know what kind of products to build for them, to market for them. And then you can look at the ARPU in different countries. You can look at what is the top app making in different countries. And then you can help you plan your ad budget. It can also help you to find your publishing targets, your business development partners, your investment portfolio, and so on. Okay, so that's about our company. Okay, last slide, sorry. These are some of our intelligence customers worldwide. Okay. So, market opportunity. So, since we're here in Russia, we'll start with the Russian market. So this is, okay, so before I start, all this analysis is based on Company intelligence, which is based on the downloads and revenues of all apps in every country, all apps. Not just apps which use our service. So firstly, this is the growth of iOS and Google Play downloads in Russia. So you see Google Play has been growing faster than Russia for the first 9 months of this year. But if you were to look at the very interesting part is the revenue. So starting from July, August, September, Google Play revenue is shooting up. So this is what we see from our data. So before I came, I asked around some Russian friends. So they told me there are a few reasons. Firstly, Samsung and LG, they're doing a lot of promotion here. They're cutting prices by a lot. And secondly, some of them say that it's the dead month in August and September, where there are a lot of sales. And thirdly, I think it's because Game Insight is doing very well these 2 months. Okay, and then I also talked to some Russian publishers. They told me that they don't really care about the local market. And why is that so? Because the global market is much, much bigger. So taking into account all the downloads and revenues from all apps in the world, you can see here by iOS downloads, Russia is 2%. Revenue is the same. And for iOS, the single biggest country, all continent, is the US. On Google Play, however, it is a different picture. Russia downloads is 4%, revenue is 2%. But instead of the US being the biggest, APAC is actually the biggest, Asia Pacific. And then now we look at which are the Russian companies that have gone global. Okay, on the left side, you see, based on third quarter this year, third quarter, July, August, September, the top 10 Russian companies by iOS revenue in Russia. On the right side, you see top 10 Russian companies by revenue, iOS revenue outside of Russia. And these are ranked by alphabetical order, not revenue. And for this Russian revenue, it's 1x, and overseas revenue is 3 times. And there should be much, much more potential because Russia iOS revenue is only 2% of the world. And what you can see is that the only 2 common companies on both sides are ABBYY and Game Insight. The rest are different. So maybe a lot of the local companies have not yet done very successfully globally. And if you were to look at Google Play, you see that they make 7.6x more revenue in overseas, despite Google Play revenue being bigger than iOS in Russia. And although these are ranked in alphabetical order, I can also share that in these 4 charts, these 4 lists, the biggest publisher by revenue in all 4 is Game Insight. So not just the best games in the world are free, the best games in the world are free to download. Okay, so how can market data change your market strategy, your business strategy? So firstly, we look at 4 points: investment in product, international, marketing, and monetization. So if you were to look at your investment into products, which products are you going to build for which markets? So let's take a quick case study at the US, because that's the biggest market. So these are the categories ranked by total revenue in the US. So you see that on iOS and Google Play, there are different kind of categories. This is total revenue. And if you were to look at okay, I think you're taking pictures. So. But I can share my slides later, no worries. Okay, next slide is about revenue per download, where we take the total grossing revenue of each category divided by the total number of downloads in each category. So you can see that although casino games is not amongst the top, but they have the highest revenue per download, which is similar to Apple. And very interestingly, these are the game subcategories. If you combine all the game subcategories into one and all the other categories, newsstand in the US is actually the number 2 highest category by Apple, as well as total revenue. Newsstand. Okay, so looking at international next. So this is the chart based on third quarter this year. It counts all the total downloads and total revenues per country. So Russia, you can see, is in the top 10 for every country. There are two interesting things about Asia Pacific that I would like to highlight. Firstly, it is South Korea. Because our estimates, we only estimate iOS and Google Play today. Just based on Google Play estimates for South Korea, you see they're number 2 at downloads, number 3 at revenues. But Google Play in Korea is only about 15% market share. The biggest in Korea is T-Store, and there are some other device and carrier stores. So if you add up all the Android revenue in Korea, it is huge. And then second thing is, this is based on third quarter, but if you look at historically, US has been number 1 throughout history for downloads and revenues on both platforms. But I just looked at October data yesterday. In October data, one very interesting thing happened. In October data, Google Play revenues, Japan is now number 1. It has exceeded US total Google Play revenue by 2 million. This is because I think it's both ways, both reasons. Japan has been on a very high growth path, while US, for their month-on-month revenue and downloads, has been kind of on a decline. Next, we look at the top growth countries for iOS revenue. And in this chart, we have removed all the little countries, because little countries, small countries, might exhibit very high growth. So it's Brazil first. Japan is already very big. It's still growing very fast. And Thailand is very interesting. It's a very small country, not so modernized yet, but growing very fast. What I heard about Thailand is that it's experiencing a similar phenomenon compared to China. In both China and Thailand, a lot of young people, they are very brand conscious. So although they don't earn a very high wage, they will spend a lot of money to get an iPhone. And this is for Google Play. Korea is the biggest, and Japan is also growing very fast. Okay, this is revenue per download for different countries for iOS. And this is based on the overall category for all apps. So you see worldwide average is around 21 cents. So if you are doing better than 21 cents for your Apple, it means you're doing well. And Japan is top of the list, 52 cents. China is 4 cents, because the top app does not make that much money, but there are a lot of downloads. Actually, like I said, China is number 2 for downloads on iOS. But this is overall category. A lot of you here are game developers, so let's take a look at the games category. So games category worldwide is 36 cents. Japan is by far the highest at $1.18. This is for third quarter. But if you were to look even deeper at RPG games, card games, which are monetizing a lot in Japan, for card games and RPG games, they can go up as high as $4 to $6 for the whole category. So imagine you could spend $4 for your CPA and you can still make a profit there. And next, Google Play. So for Google Play, you see that all the figures are lower, but the ranking of countries is similar. Japan the highest again. And strangely, I don't know why, South Africa as well. And if you were to look at games, again, it's higher. Japan, Australia. So this gives you a good sense of what it's like internationally. Okay, so next about marketing. How can market data help you to optimize your marketing budgets? So for instance, this is a case study into the card games industry. So many companies now in the US, in Japan and China, they're building a lot of card games. Primarily, they serve their local markets first. And then when they're looking to go global, they can look at market data. So for instance, people would think Canada and Australia are very similar markets, mainly speaking English, but not the US. But market data could tell you that in Canada in Canada it's 1.3 times harder to market to the top 5 downloads position compared to Australia. But once you get to that position, the amount of revenue you can make in Australia is 3.4 times more than Canada. So market data could help you optimize your budgets like this. Next, if you were to promote your app, this is the list of countries. They are ranked by the amount of difficulty to get into the top 5 free positions. So for iOS, it's US, China, UK and Japan, similar difficulty. Then France, Germany, Australia next. Then Canada, Italy, Russia. And then Google Play, South Korea, it's actually harder to get onto the top 5 compared to the US. It requires more downloads on a daily basis. And finally, monetization. Okay, so just now we looked at top countries for total downloads and total revenues. Now we just look at top countries based on their #1 grossing app of the month. If you're #1 grossing app in the country, how much revenue can you make? And this is iOS. So all along, historically, has always been US the biggest market, but in Q3 and also October, Japan has overtaken the US. If you are #1 in Japan, you could make between 3 to 5 million after Apple's cut. And you see, very interestingly here, Thailand is at 9th position. It's a very small country, but you make more money being the #1 app than in Brazil, Russia, and so on. And the third thing is that if you compare Japan to Korea, Korea, it is 19 times difference. But if you were to look at Google Play, if you are not in the top 3 countries, there's not much left. So again, Japan is top, Korea is second, and US is on the decline, like I said, for the month-on-month revenue. And if you were to make a comparison, iOS Thailand #1 app revenue makes more than 2 times UK Google Play revenue for the #1 app. For iOS in Thailand, the top app can make close to 200,000 per month. Okay, and this is also about monetization, a closer look into Thailand. So it is in some countries like this, smaller countries, developing countries, where all the big companies, big publishers don't really notice yet. So in this kind of small countries, it's easy to beat the big companies like Zynga. So for instance, there's this company, it's actually a Chinese company, they made Thai Texas Poker, and they actually make 3 to 4 times revenue, daily revenue compared to Zynga. Yep. So this is a summary of what we presented today: investment, international, marketing, and monetization. And also because I'm based in APAC most of the time, I'd like to share with you some tips about marketing in Asia Pacific, mainly China, Japan, Korea. So, okay, general advice first, general tips. So firstly, in Asia, girls share a lot of what they're playing with on social media, on Facebook, not Facebook, on the local networks, on Twitter, and so on. Guys just play by themselves. So, and in China, Japan, Korea, the heavy MMORPGs make the most money with the least number of downloads. They usually have millions of revenues, and their downloads are maybe not more than 300,000 per month. And I would say localization is a must. And if you really want to be strong in those countries, you need to be there, or you need a strong partner. So, okay, firstly, China. So, unique things about China. So, firstly, in China, there's an unusually high rate of paying users on the iPad contrasted with iPhone. Although China, the ARPU is low, but the ARPU is much higher on the iPad. For some games, they make the same amount on iPad compared to iPhone, sometimes even more on iPad. Okay, and second one is very interesting. For paid apps launched on third-party stores. Okay, this is for iOS. So, on iOS, actually, there are 2 third-party stores in China because there are a lot of jailbroken phones. Why are there jailbroken phones? Because many people don't have Visa card, MasterCard. So these third-party stores try to come up with innovative ways for more convenient ways for people to pay. So there are two biggest third-party stores in China. One is called 91. The other one belongs to Tencent. So interesting stuff is, if you put up paid apps on the iOS App Store, they will definitely get pirated and put up on the third-party stores and sold for free. So the good way to go about it is to talk to those pirated stores. Launch first on their store as a paid app because they have better payment channels. And then, after that, you can launch on iOS App Store. No one will bother to pirate you. Next, apps with cute animals have very wide appeal. Girls would share them a lot. One example is Alawas. They had this Robber Rabbit. I don't think they did promotion in China, but it just caught on because people like cute animals. And then finally, Tencent is by far the biggest publisher by downloads volume. And of course, Papaya is very big as well. And also to share a couple of other points about payment channels. So iOS aside, let's look at Android. Android, the biggest payment channel in terms of revenue volume is Alipay. That's the PayPal of China. But if you were to look at the highest paying rate platform, it is actually carrier billing. It's just they're not so widely used yet. Because if you tried it yourself, it's actually very amazing. It's just one click. Really, just one click pay and done. So there's a high payment rate there. And also another thing, just now during the morning's presentation, I heard someone ask about Chinese social networks. Someone raised an example of Renren. Renren is actually not one of the biggest anymore, because that was a few years back where Renren was known as the Facebook clone of China. These days, Renren has pivoted more into actually a games publisher for the worldwide market, and they're doing quite well. The two biggest social networks in China are both very much on both web and mobile. The first one is WeChat. WeChat is a messenger app that has morphed into a social network. It's on iPhone, Android, and features phones. You can even see the taxi drivers using it a lot. The other one is Sina Weibo. Weibo started as a clone of Twitter, but it has grown so much to be much more than a Twitter. It's a Twitter, it's a Facebook, it's a LinkedIn, it's everything. So these are the two biggest networks in China today. Next, Japan. So in contrast to China, there's very little iPad penetration in Japan. So people are just not buying tablets yet. And for the top games, they have very high ARPU because they are the Japanese market. The Japanese game developers have been doing it for 2 decades. They've been done it on console and PC online. They just brought it into the mobile. They really know how to make consumers pay a lot of money. And the third thing is browser-based games are still very huge, especially on Mixi, Gree, and DNA. And if you were to look at the biggest channels in Japan, there are companies like Gree and DNA, who are big social networks, trying to go into games now. And there's also Line. Line is a very interesting thing. They started from social, again, Gree and DNA are big game networks trying to enter social. Line is the opposite. They are a huge messenger service, started from social and going to games. They're also doing very well. Next, Korea. So first thing, what I mentioned was that Korea, Android is very big and T-Store is the biggest. And one very interesting thing that started from the PC and online industry is that because the government didn't want the young people to spend too much on games, addicted to games, spend a lot of money. So they actually placed a monthly quota on how much they can spend. And this kind of carried on onto the mobile apps. So every month, there's a limit to how much they can spend. And some of the developers I've talked to and we've seen from our data, the payment rate and the revenue peaks in the first 2 days of the month. So it might be worth it for you to do a special promotion in Korea if you're doing that. And in Korea, there are a lot of global channels there which are promoting that, like Gree and DNA and so on. But KakaoTalk is the biggest channel by far in Korea, biggest for free volume and revenue volume. Okay, so I think that's about it for what I have to share today. Thank you very much.
Пожалуйста, у кого есть вопросы, можно выпытать интересную информацию. Конечно, ее так очень много надо рассказать. Пожалуйста.
Why do you think the downloads to revenue ratio is so much lower on the Android store than on Apple Store?
I think it's because, firstly, there are a lot of countries who don't have access to Google Checkout. Firstly, I have to clarify that all the revenue we track are only from app stores, as in iOS App Store, your in-app purchase, your paid purchase, and for Google Play, Google Checkout. We cannot estimate advertising revenue. So there are a lot of countries who actually don't have access to Google Checkout, a lot of people who don't have credit cards. And secondly, I am an Android user. I used to be an iOS user. I think there's less selection of top quality apps on Android.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Can you please tell us a bit more about the methodology and the region of your data and about the estimation of revenue?
Okay.
Thank you.
Today we have a product that helps publishers analyze their revenues and downloads across all countries. And the first product. And there are more than 140,000 apps using this globally. So we take the data points from all these apps. Firstly, they're all anonymized so that we don't know which publisher this is, which app this is. All it is to us is the data point. Data point meaning if you are number one in the US today. Number one in the US today for top grossing chart, maybe it means 100,000 USD. And I also happen to have the data point for number 5 position. Number 5, maybe it means 50,000 USD. So if I have number 1 and 5, I can plot 2, 3, and 4. So this is what I do for every country, every category. We draw a long curve every single day. And then at the end of the month, we look at all the ranks for all the apps and we calculate and make an estimation for their revenue. And it's important to note that all data we provide are estimates, even if we have the real data. We never share real data. Yes.
Where do you get this total number of downloads for each day or month?
It's based on, you're talking about the entire market or single apps? Actually Apple, if you look at Apple's iTunes client interface, you can see maybe top 100, but actually Apple does provide ranks for up to 1,000. So we track the top 1,000 ranked apps every day. And based on a daily basis, it's accurate enough to just look at 1,000, because beyond the 1,000, you hardly make any revenues or downloads. And for Google Play, it's actually less. Google Play provides up to 500 rankings. Well, those have insignificant revenue and downloads, I'd say. If you're not in the top 1,000 of the day even, that's negligible.
У меня вопрос. Скажите, пожалуйста, может быть, я просто недопонял, возможно ли с помощью вашего трекинг-сервиса определить источник, откуда произошла закачка приложения?
So the question is if it's possible to track the source, where from do you have a traffic to the application?
Today we don't do that yet. That's all I can say.
So, do you track Line, Kakao, and Cinnamon?
Yes.
So
we know the downloads for those apps, but we cannot say we cannot say how many downloads it's bringing to one particular app.
I mean, I understand you have stats on these platforms available, and some of them are available, like they're public, or only available for the analytics.
I think every company puts out some public stats once in a while, and for us, we have estimates for every single app. So we sometimes share some stats as a market report or some talks like this, and the detailed stuff is in our product.
Okay.
I can share stuff like, for instance, WeChat is huge in China. It's also starting to pick up in the US and also around Southeast Asia. Line is actually started by a Korean company, but they are small in Korea. They are huge in Japan. They are huge in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and they are trying to make a global push.
No, what I'm asking is that if you track the games of these platforms, like Dragonflight and all the other.
Not yet.
Okay.
Do you track only revenue driven by downloads or advertisement as well?
Only revenues by downloads, because we make our estimates based on the top grossing chart. The top grossing chart does not take into account your advertising revenue, your offer wall revenue, and so on.
Sorry. I see your intelligence costs like 15,000 a year.
That's the basic package, yes.
Do you have a shortened package like for less? Because
we have some discounts available, and we also sell some historical data that is cheaper. So for now, your cheapest could be around 10,000.
All right, thank you.
Okay, last question, please.
So I didn't understand your last answer. So basically you provide data for some particular money,
yes.
So we can analyze this data making assumptions by our
yes.
own. But if, for example, I will suppose you know better how to cut those data in order to get the result we need, okay? So would you review the request to actually, for the pay, certainly, to bring some strategy for us, how to move on the market, if we have some particular articulated goals? For example, we are a free application and we would like to distribute it widely on certain markets. So how much would you charge us? Would you accept such demand, etc.?
Okay, this is a little detailed, but what I can explain is that today we are a company focused on providing the most accurate data. We're not a consulting company. We don't give you a ready report with charts and all that, because we just provide the most accurate data and you can draw whatever conclusions you want from it. There are some requests for more consulting. When we get this request, firstly, we try to help on a personal level. If we cannot do that, we actually find some outsourced partners. So actually in Europe, we used to work with a Greek company, Vision Mobile. So they help us with the consulting bit.
Thank you. Thank you, Yunde.
Thank you.